It was a late shift kind of night, and I was the only one working at the pizza place in my town. I just received an order for delivery to a destination in a remote location in town, according to the map. So it was the last order of the night, and I was ready to get this over with so I could close up and go home. There was no tip for this order. Usually, on a late night like this, you take a risk of either not getting a tip or a big one because drunk people tip too well. However, the order was on the outskirts of town, so it'll probably be nothing. I hesitated, but ultimately decided to go through with the delivery. I guess I have to since it's my job and all. There was also a pretty nasty storm outside I'd have to deal with as well. As I drove down the winding, muddy road to the destination, the storm raged on. Lightning lit up the sky, and the wind howled through the trees. I could barely see my way through it, and I had my windshield wipers on full blast. Let me just get through this one, and I'm done. When I finally arrived, I knocked on the door and waited for a response, but there was none. I knocked again, but there was still no answer. I called out to the customer, but there was no response. I was about to turn and leave when the door suddenly swung open. A figure emerged from the darkness, their face obscured by the shadows. They grabbed the pizza from my hands and threw a wad of cash at me, telling me to leave and never come back. Well, that's fine. I got the cash. I turned around to go to the car, and I heard a loud scream from a woman coming from the house. My heart was beating faster as I looked at the house. I saw the window curtain move, and saw a glowing pair of eyes looking right at me. I moved faster towards my car, when the front door opened. 2 men in masks came bursting out of the house, and started chasing me. I fled back to my car, heart racing. I got into the car and quickly started it. As I drove away, I couldn't calm down. I was freaking out. What were those guys doing in the cabin? And why did they seem so eager to get rid of me? I never returned to that cabin. I quit delivering pizza after that. I finally took a chance and enrolled in college. I guess I was procrastinating, and almost losing my life got me to finally do it. I'm almost done with my senior year now, and I'm going to be a graphic designer. The memory of that night still haunts me to this day. I will never have to deliver a pizza again. Good luck out there, pizza delivery brothers and sisters. It was a dark and stormy night, the kind of night that made you want to curl up with a good book and forget the world outside. But for me, the storm was just another obstacle to overcome on my nightly rounds as a pizza delivery driver. I don't make much, but a job is a job. I have to do it, rain or shine. I was in my car and had a few deliveries. As I drove through the deserted streets, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The wind howled like a pack of wolves, and the rain beat against my windshield like 1,000 tiny fists. The sound was eerie, but I just drowned it out with some loud music. I delivered my first order with no issues. I got the cash tip and moved on. I pulled up to my next delivery, a small house at the edge of town. I grabbed the pizza box and walked up to the front door, the rain drenching me to the bone. I should have worn a rain jacket, but whatever. I knocked on the door. There was no answer. I knocked again. Still no response. I was about to turn around and leave when I saw the door open slightly and heard a faint whisper, "Come in." I hesitated for a moment, but I was committed to delivering this pizza and getting out of there. I slowly opened the door and stepped inside. The house was dark and musty, the air thick with the smell of mold and decay. I couldn't see anything, but I could hear something moving in the shadows. I called out, "Hello? I have a pizza delivery for this address?" There was no response, but I could feel eyes watching me, and I began to feel increasingly uneasy and turned to leave when a voice whispered in my ear,
"You're not going anywhere."
I spun around, but no one was there. I tried to run, but something grabbed me from behind that pulled me in a dark room to the side of the entrance I just came in. As I struggled to break free, I could feel hands clawing on my skin, tearing away my clothes. I screamed for help, but no one came. Suddenly, the room was illuminated by a sickly green light. I could see that I was surrounded by people, but they weren't human. They were like humans, but something was wrong with them. They had twisted faces with razor-sharp teeth. One of these monsters spoke, its voice like 1,000 snakes hissing in unison.
"Welcome to our world, Pizza Boy. We've been waiting for you."
I tried to fight back, but I was hopelessly outnumbered. The monsters swarmed around me, tearing at my flesh and feasting on my blood. As my consciousness began to fade, I heard the monsters whispering to each other,
"This is the best Pizza Boy we've ever tasted."
When the police found my car the next morning, it was empty, except for a pizza box sitting on the passenger seat, untouched. They looked in the house and didn't find anything. To this day, no one knows what happened to me, or why my pizza delivery went so horribly wrong. But that's not actually how it ended. I woke up in the hospital. I had bite marks all over my body. The doctor saw me awake and yelled for his staff. They all circled around me at the hospital bed. I asked what happened. I thought I had died. The doctor said that I had driven myself to the hospital in my car and told the staff what happened. When I was put in the hospital bed, I passed out. I had dreamt that I was murdered, but in actuality, I escaped and saved myself. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug. The hospital called the police when I came in. They responded to that house and found 10 cannibals living there. They were definitely trying to eat me. I somehow managed to break free though, jumped out of a window, and got away in my car. I wish I could say that the company took care of me after that incident, but they didn't. To my delivery drivers, when delivering pizza, don't go in the house. Just wait outside for the customer to come out, or you might be the tasty treat instead of the pizza. It was another late night shift, and I was out delivering pizzas for the local pizza place. It was very cold, and the snow was starting to come down pretty hard. There was a solar eclipse that was supposed to happen soon, as if anyone cares. I personally don't. As I drove through the howling wind and the thick snow, I couldn't help but feel uneasy. I had heard rumors from other drivers about strange occurrences happening on the job, but I never really believed them until now. As I approached my next delivery, the address seemed to be in the middle of nowhere. The only light came from a single porch light that flickered in the wind. I parked my car and took a deep breath before making my way to the door. When I knocked, the door slowly creaked open. A strange smell wafted out, one that I couldn't quite place. It was a mixture of decay and something sweet. I called out, "Pizza delivery," but there was no answer. I stepped inside and called out again. Still, no answer. The only sound I could hear was the sound of my own breathing and the creaking of the old house. I cautiously made my way down the dark hallway, the floorboards creaking under my feet. As I turned a corner, I saw something that made my heart skip a beat. In the middle of the room was a table, covered in strange symbols and candles. At the center of the table was a box, but it was unlike anything I had ever seen before. It was made of some kind of dark, leathery material, and was covered in strange symbols. I took a step closer, my curiosity getting the better of me. Suddenly, the candles burst to life, illuminating the room with an eerie glow. Surprised, I stumbled backwards, my heart racing. That's when I heard it, a soft whispering voice that seemed to come from all around me. It was a language that I couldn't understand, and I didn't get the feeling that it was friendly. I realized then that I had stumbled upon something I was never meant to see. I turned to run, but the door slammed shut behind me, trapping me inside. The symbols on the table began to glow, and the smell of the air grew stronger. It was the smell of death, decay, and something else, something I couldn't quite identify. In the flickering candlelight, I could see something moving in the shadows. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but when I saw it clearly, it was a figure, hunched over and crawling towards me. Its limbs twisted and deformed. I tried to scream, but my voice was caught in my throat. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move as the figure drew closer and closer. I knew then that I was going to die. But just as it was about to reach me, the candles flickered and went out, plunging the room into darkness. The figure let out a blood-curdling scream and grabbed me by the neck. It poured a liquid down my throat. I spit it out and resisted. It tasted like blood. Was this really happening? I don't remember much after that. I must have passed out or something. All I know is that when I woke up, I was back in my car, with no memory how I got there. I woke up with some strange liquid around my mouth and on my shirt, like I threw up. My stomach did hurt though. And then I thought about what happened. Something was forcing me to drink blood. Whose blood was that? I also had one hell of a headache. I looked up in the sky, and the solar eclipse was about to happen. That's when something burst out of my stomach. There was blood everywhere. The creature that had just burst out of my stomach looked right at me. At this point, I was going to die. I just lost a ton of blood. So I just held this creature in my arms and fell asleep. Since that night, I have never been able to look at pizza the same way again. Whenever I deliver to a strange or remote location, I always feel like something's watching me, waiting for me to let my guard down. I don't know what kind of dark magic or evil I stumbled upon that night, but I do know one thing. It's not something I ever want to experience again. Hey, Spooky Sooner here. This was a redo of my first pizza delivery stories. When I went back and listened to it, it sounded so bad, I thought I should re-record it, so here you go. The third story, if you guys don't know, is a reference for a movie called The House of the Devil. If you haven't seen it, it's a real slow burn, but it's pretty good. So, but that's where that idea came from. So, I might try to re-record the first Craigslist horror stories that I had as well because of the same thing. And if there's any other earlier stories that I had that you would like to hear re-recorded, let me know in the comments. Take care and stay spooky. All that know is when I went as I drove through the come in. The candles. Since that night, I have never been. Since that night, I have never been. Damn.